Bandits strike again in Zamfara State as they abduct students in the hometown of Governor Matawale. Meanwhile, 5 of the abducted students of Government Day Secondary School Kaya have regained freedom. And the presidency says Amnesty International has no legal right to exist in Nigeria. Well, this is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Anacom. Bandits have again abducted children in Zamfara State. Now, the victims in this, at this time are students of the Government Day Secondary School Kaya in Maradun local government area of the state. The state government had shut down schools across the state following the abduction of 73 students, and also they have imposed a dusk to dawn curfew across the state. The good news is 5 of these abducted students have been returned. Well, joining us to discuss the issue of abductions across our schools is political technocrat Dayo Kayode, and to be joining us later is Colonel Samson Edet, retired. Thank you very much, Mr. Kayode, for joining us.
Anne, how are you? Long time. How
Great.
are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So it's interesting looking at the number of students that have been abducted yet again in Zamfara State, 73. Good news is 5, according to reports, 5 of them were returned by the bandits. And I mean, one would want to be a fly on the wall to understand why just 5 of these students were returned. But that's a conversation that needs to be had with, security operatives. But I've spoken to many educationists, I've spoken to security operatives and experts, and they all have talked continuously, asked questions as to why schools and, the education in the Northwest is being targeted. So I'm trying to understand, maybe you can tell us from a political perspective why these bandits seem to be continuously going to schools. And let's not forget the NDA also is a training academy, which is a school. Why do you think that they're attacking school children?
Yeah, let me first of all say, even for returning 5 of those children, it's still no good news. Even by the time they return all of them, it's still no good news, because already they have caused some kind of psychological distress within our society. And this thing has been reoccurring all of the time without nobody looking for how to tackle this problem. Now, why are they attacking school children? Just because they know that these children are very vulnerable to their attack. And they know that because they are children, their parents will want to come after them and pay whatever they ask them to pay immediately. And to that extent, they will rather want to go for those that are very vulnerable, and that will also make people to stand up immediately to wanting to pay the kind of ransom they are asking for.
Now, we know that these school children that were abducted were, I think initially there were 91 school children that were abducted in Niger State before the Zamfara situation happened. And they were recently, released because millions of naira rather was paid for, their release. But where I'm going with this is that ransom payment is the bone of contention here. Many have wondered how we can win the war against insurgency, against banditry, against terrorism, if we, one way or the other, are the ones funding it. For example, you just made mention that they target these children because they know that their parents would want to move heaven and earth to make sure that these monies are paid and so that they can get their loved ones out. And so really, if we are as a country saying that we're fighting terrorism, how are we doing that if we continue to pay these ransoms? And on the other hand, you cannot say you will not pay any ransom because your loved one is in the custody of bandits. So what are we really doing?
Yes. You see, it is always good for us to face the facts. And it's a pity that most governments, and especially this government, when they see anybody saying the truth, they see that person as an enemy. I'm not the enemy of government, but rather I will still say the truth because Nigeria belongs to every one of us. 2 questions you have asked now. 1, there is no how this banditry will stop in as much as it is seemingly, I use that word seemingly, looking as if some people are just being enriched through kidnapping and then giving them ransom. And I will come to it fully. Now, Melaifa, former deputy governor of a central bank, came out sometimes to talk about this banditry in Nigeria. Baraje, the chairman of NPDP, that led the PDP of that period to APC during 1915 election, also addressed a press conference as regards this issue. Late Madam Taraba said the same thing. Of recent, a security expert mentioned some things. Some times ago, Paul of CNN also mentioned some things. Even later, Abacha said it, that any government that cannot quench any form of banditry and insurgency in its political environment within 24 or 48 hours is seen as an accomplice. And to what extent has this government arrested any of these guys and punished them? Rather, the moment they said they are now repentant, you say, let us absorb them back to the society. So how do you think this thing will not continue? There are a lot of people out there. They will say, oh, this is a good business. Since they have seen it as a good business, then they will continue to be doing, to be perpetrating these nefarious activities within our political environment.
Mr. Kayode, let me come in there. I'm so sorry. Let me come in there. 1 second. Let me come in there for a second. Just hold on. Hold on. Let me come in there. When you say that, when you bring up the issue of ransom payment and us fueling or financing, terrorism in the country, let's use the Kaduna State example, where the governor has said that no ransoms should be paid. We have seen the backlashes that he's gotten. We've seen that people still have to pay. They go behind the backs of government and security agencies to pay. Now, there are also people who say to us that the police allegedly would tell them that it's best that they pay so that they can get their loved ones out. But when we keep making, from what you said, it looks like government has failed in its job in dealing with this issue of insecurity. But can you blame government when, for example, an El-Rufai says, do not pay ransom because you're funding terrorism, and then the people themselves go ahead and pay for their family members to be released? Really, can we just solely put the blame on the government and security agencies?
What is the role of government? What is the role of government as stipulated by 1999 Constitution as amended? To ensure well-being of the people, economic well-being of the people, and to ensure security of lives and properties. When this thing is not ensured, what do we call that? It's total government failure. You're talking about El-Rufai. Is he walking the talk? Did you not say the other time that he went to settle some people in charge? Did you not say it? Did you not mention it? Like the one I wanted to say the other time, when you say, when the president was saying he was ready to change the security chiefs the other time, and people were clamoring that the president should change the security chiefs, I was among the few that was saying, no, it is not about changing the security chiefs. It is about people in government, people at the helm of affairs, changing their philosophy as regards how to sort out this incessant kidnapping and the forceful obtaining of money from the people. So either we like it or not, one, the government is not working its talk, so they stop paying ransom. Who are the people paying it behind? Do they want to tell us that those 5 children were released just like that? Two, it is high time that those in the helm of affairs, that is the president of the country, the governors of the states, the chairman of local governments, should rise up to their abilities now, because all these things stops at their table on how to stop this, because they are all operating within their political space. And the moment the moment they cannot stop it, then the government has failed. No more, no less. Government has failed.
Can we really say government has failed when the army is doing its bit, the police is doing its bit? Let's not also forget that we have our soldiers overstretched, and they're not just in the northwest. We have them in the northeast. We have them in the southeast. We have them in the south. And if we were to number these soldiers, they're not as many as we would want them to be. And I remember speaking to someone last week who said that we even have some of our soldiers, you know, a detachment of them working with, you know, the AU and the ECOWAS. So we obviously have not enough soldiers to do the job, but can you really say that they have failed? Because it seems that they're doing what they can. But of course, the obvious question is that enough? But my other question is, I remember, I think between June of 2011 and the end of March of 2020, apparently I think there's estimated 13.4 million people have been abducted, or rather $18.4 million has been paid for abductions, you know, all over, either in the northwest or in the northeast, and in other parts of Nigeria, to these bandits. And I was thinking about it because this is a lot of money going into buying guns. And we keep asking questions about guns that are coming in. The other day I was watching a program I did about 4 years ago on the radio. We were asking questions about guns that were found coming into Nigeria, some that were stopped in South Africa, another that was traced to come in from Turkey. But nobody has been able to come up with a tentative report saying that those guns were traceable to Mr. A, B, or C. It literally has died down. So let's talk about the nitty-gritty of fighting terrorism in this country. If we are just trying to stop bandits and we're not looking for who's bringing in these guns, whether it be for banditry, whether it be for the elections or whatever reason, if we're not able to probe that, can we really go forward in fighting this insecurity, this hydra-headed monster that we're facing every other day?
And that is exactly what I'm trying to say, Anne. You see, number one, your first question. On what platform a week or 2 weeks ago, immediately after the happenstance in Afghanistan, I was on a particular platform and I praised our Nigerian army. I praised our security forces for the gallantry they have shown we Nigerians, especially in facing these so-called bandits. But unfortunately, they are not well equipped. Unfortunately, they are not well remunerated. Unfortunately, they are not encouraged properly. Unfortunately, they are not even being taken good care of the way Boko Haramists are taking good care of their soldiers. That is one. Two, if you are talking about gun running, you and I, do we have that temerity, especially in terms of economic prowess, to bring in guns and ammunition into this country? No. It is these so-called leaders. And when I say leaders, I mean both political leaders, economic leaders, whatever leader we have, that are bringing in these things. How many of them has the government apprehended? They have said, there was even a time that the president came on air to say, look, all these guns are the ones that are being used, that were used, formerly used in Libya and all that, that doesn't know how they are finding their ways into Nigeria. Have you forgotten that for a very long time, the border at in Southwest, in Seme, have been blocked, while borders in the north were opened. So where are these things coming in from? Where? So these are issues that we need to look at properly to be able to know who are behind all this. Again,
but recently, the DSS has actually alluded to the fact that they have information which, remember, a former retired armed force officer was on a channel talking about the funders and people. Yes. And of course, the DSS had also said that they're aware of that information, but that they're waiting for a go-ahead from the president himself
waiting for how long
to
are we
be able
waiting?
to investigate. So Of course.
For how long? Have you forgotten that they said they have some 400 people in their custody who they claim have been sponsoring these people? Are you also aware that Dubai or Saudi Arabia sent some names down to Nigeria as regards those people that are funding these people? What have they done with those names? So the moment you are not doing anything, then you are giving, we Nigerians, we are giving us that idea that yes, you can be held as an accomplice in all these things that are happening. Because it is only when a thief is stealing and the head of the house knows that that guy is stealing and is not doing anything, he will continue stealing. Not until when he or she is being punished, he won't stop stealing. And that is exactly what we are saying in Nigeria today.
Let's talk about the schools again. Amnesty International recently tweeted and described the latest incident in Zamfara State as disturbing. In fact, I'd like to quote them directly. They said that the attacks on schools and abduction of school children are war crimes. So I want to ask you, does it really qualify as a war crime? Are we at war in Nigeria right now?
Yes, when you see all these people shooting sporadically, going to capture a whole village, a whole town, a whole local government, and hosting their flags there and all that, what do we call that? It is war. It is that some people have decided to declare war on Nigeria. A war declared on a part of Nigeria is war declared on the whole country. Because before you know it, by the time they are successful there, they will move down south. And even we have been seeing fringes of it here. So it is total war. Whatever they are doing can be classified as a guerrilla warfare. Because these people are not Nigerians. Most of them are not. Some of them that were captured, when they speak, those people that they were speaking with are saying their tongue is not that of a Nigerian Fulani or that of Nigerian Hausa man or that of Nigeria whatever. You know, they are all from Senegal, Futajalon Island, Bamako, and all that. You know, so it's war. Amnesty International is very, very right as regards what they have said. And because Amnesty International is an international organization that are looking for peace to be everywhere. So they have a saying, whatever is happening, they can make their comments. It's only that they cannot act, but they can make their comments and then advise appropriately.
Talking about acting here, it brings me back to the question I always ask, you know, what is the challenge of government? Because, like I said earlier on, the buck stops at the table of the government, whether it be state or federal. And you see in the case of Benue, where there's been a back and forth between the presidency and Governor Ortam, and you know both governments pointing fingers at each other. So I'm asking, what is the challenge in fighting this issue of terrorism and fighting against these bandits? And of course, Boko Haram is on the other hand, and we also have non-state actors creeping up every other day, and those also have to be handled. What do you think is the problem, and why have we not been very successful?
It's just one challenge. It's just one challenge that we have. People that are concerned are never ready to say the truth. Because they know when they say the truth, some people might spill beans.
What exactly do you mean by say the truth? What is the truth in this regard? I mean, because we all see plainly that we have a group of people who are armed, disguised as certain groups of people, only to perpetrate violence. So what again is the truth that we do not know?
Truth in terms of how did these people get into our country? Truth in terms of, I repeat, how did these people find themselves in our country?
But we all know that we have porous borders in Nigeria. That's not news, is it?
Who brought them in? Who brought these people in for some purposes? Only God knows. And the purpose we can ask Baraje, the leader of NPDP, what he said the other time. He said that he want APC leadership not to bring these people into the country. that when you bring them into the country, it will be hard for you to send them away.
Mr. Kaide, you're alleging that Mr. President's political party is responsible for the terrorism that we're experiencing in the form of banditry in Nigeria. You're saying that the sitting government, which is the APC government, is responsible for the terrorism that we as a country are experiencing right now.
Baraja said it. Baraja said it in his press conference. It's in the public clear. He said it to everybody. He said it to everybody. And again, the moment we have not been punishing these people, we have not been arresting them, we have not been able to showcase their faces, then what are we talking about? It defines complicity. It amounts to complicity. Madam Talaba also said it. The late Madam Talaba said it. He said, if this government is not careful, it will spill beans about so many of these security breaches in this country. He said it. It's in the public ledger there. It's not a hidden fact.
Let's talk about
where are the 400 people that they said that are funding these people? Why are they finding it difficult? Why are they finding it difficult to prosecute them? Why are they finding it difficult to bring them to the glare of the people? These are issues. Let us say the truth, so that the devil could be ashamed.
Okay.
It is high time that Nigerians experience security in on their fatherland.
Let's talk about this business becoming a bit too lucrative, because let me think outside the box. Because this is generating much money, I gave you statistics, $18.3 million, not naira. This seems to be very lucrative. Who's to say that other people who may not necessarily be these bandits don't take advantage of the situation and join the business? How do we try to make sure that this doesn't become something that is a playing field for all and sundry?
Yes, no doubt about it, that some other people that are not even supposed to be part of these bandits are also practicing they call it obtainance by force through kidnapping. I mean, we have heard of instances whereby some people will go and kidnap themselves, and then they be asking for ransom, and they are being caught here and there. No doubt about it, we have been seeing it. But because the thing has now become very lucrative, there's no way these bandits will want to leave it until when the leadership decide to say the truth and face it scarcely, and then walk the talk. Not until when we start to do that, it will continue. And that's why I always tell leadership, the leadership of this country, that it is high time that we walk on the path of truth. I mean, nobody is going to punish anybody for saying the truth. Yes, you could be ashamed for a while, but along the line, people will say, yes, we're all human. We're all human. And it's normal for anybody to err. It is for us to now forgive such a person. Let our leadership come out and say the truth. Yes, we have done this, we have done this, we have done that, we are sorry. But now let us join hands together to put an end to this. Do you know the kind of effect this thing is having on us? A lot of investors have refused coming to Nigeria. I am one of those that this thing is affecting. People are never ready to invest money again in Nigeria because the place is not secure. They don't know how they will come to Nigeria. They don't know how safe they are if they come to Nigeria. So this is a big issue. It is also affecting the employment rates. It is affecting our direct foreign investment. It is affecting our GDP.
Okay.
I mean, these are the multiplier effects of these circumstances that we are refused to cope since all these days.
Now, quickly before we wrap up, because we're almost out of time, the governor has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew in the state. Do you think this might help to at least push back on these terrorists? Again, this is obviously going to affect businesses, it's going to affect schooling, and already children in both the Northeast and Northwest have been, have had their, education calendar messed up because of the kidnappings and the abductions. So where does this leave the education system in that part of the country?
Number one, does curfew affect bandits? Bandits don't follow rules and regulations. They don't know what laws are.
But maybe that would also help the security agents to be able to track who's who, because if the normal people are staying at home, then you can tell who's moving around.
Even when people are not staying at home, if they are serious to track them, they will track them. Have you seen our police tracking a stolen phone before? I've seen our policemen tracking a stolen phone, stolen in Lagos, and they tracked it down to Enugu. How about that? So who is saying without coffee, our security agency will not work? We thought without coffee they will work if they are ready to work. The thing is, our leadership should now trek the path of the truth, no more, no less.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you, Mr. Daya Kayode is a political technocrat. Thank you for joining us on in the show today.
Thanks for having me, Anne.
All right, thank you for joining us on the show. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, the presidency is attacking Amnesty International over critical reports. What's in the report? We get to find out after this break.